Hey there, and welcome back. In my last video, I talked about the Polaroid Originals OneStep 2 new instant camera that came out recently, or was available for pre-order. The other weekend, I took it down to an area outside of Dallas, Texas for PolaCon. Had a great time, took quite a few photos. But some people in the comments mentioned, and rightfully so, that they would have liked to have seen photos that I took. Makes sense. Want to see what kind of images the camera can produce in real-world situations. So I made this video to share with you some of those images. Now, the film that I used, just as a little bit of a pretext, was typically the Polaroid I-type film. There were a few boxes of the new Polaroid Originals 600 film in there, including some of what they called Launch Edition, which has the Polaroid Originals logo on it for some reason. Anyway. But yeah, so it was a combination of those. There was no, that I used there, that I'll be sharing here, there was no older Impossible Project stuff, no classic Polaroid film. That's some stuff I would have liked to have tested, but I didn't have any, unfortunately. Now, this first photo was one that I took pretty early on, actually, within the weekend. It was from one of the first packs. And you can see, if you look on the right side there, it's not a light leak, but it looks like a light flaring of sorts. Now, that did end up washing out some of the color you can see in the tree, and it looked like the lighting situation was a little bit tricky for the pretty simple light meter to discern with the harsh shadows and then the blown out sky. You'll see that within the sky it does have the pretty standard kind of pink hues of a lot of Impossible and Polaroid Originals images. It just tends to happen when the sky is like that. They haven't been able to nail down those neutral washed out sky tones. This second photo here was quite literally just a test of color. Someone at the meetup had this umbrella as a marker, and I figured it would be a good example to test with, and it did. I'm really impressed with the color range and color accuracy of the umbrella. You can see that the flash really did help in this photo. Now, this next photo is, I'd say, is one of the more poor examples, and I believe that's simply due to camera limitations. As you can see, it's pointed up towards the sky. The flash was on and the camera was trying to expose for the flash, but eventually the photo just ended up coming out underexposed. Really shouldn't be as any surprise to anyone who is familiar with the specs, but wanted to show it just to kind of give an example. This was around dusk time, same day as that first photo I shared, so quite overcast, a little bit rainy even. Now, this next photo was actually taken at a bar where we were having a few drinks later in the night, and really liked the floral arrangement of the sofa. So I snapped a shot of it. Now, as you can imagine, the bar was really dark, and this photo was taken using just flash pointed right at the sofa. This was from a distance of about 2.5 feet, so you can kind of see that even at the lower end of the minimum focusing distance that Polaroid Originals advertises for the camera itself, it does stay pretty sharp. There's no steep fall off in terms of sharpness once you get down into the closer range. Once you get to the minimum of 2 feet, it does, and we'll get to some examples of that in a little bit. But again, colors are nice. Didn't have to shield any of these at all. And overall, I'm pretty impressed. Now, this photo is really just a test of the sky. I want to see how the Polaroid Originals film handled blues, and it does it pretty similar to how a lot of the Impossible Project stuff did. That is, if the exposure is right, you get incredibly saturated, if a little bit underexposed, blue hues. That is sometimes at the expense of the rest of the image, but because of the fill flash that I was using here, always had the flash on, the sign came out pretty properly exposed as well. This next image is one that I took. It was facing wall to wall, as you can see by the shadows, had a lot of sun on it already. So I kind of wanted to see what would happen if I took the photo using the flash as Polaroid Originals tells you to do. You can see kind of the same problem of a little bit of underexposure, and I'm not entirely sure why. My guess is that between the flash and the sun, the camera just kind of overcompensated and didn't quite come out. I should have taken another one with the flash off just to get a comparison, but I didn't. You do see a little bit of the remnants of the blue sky up there in the top, and then you get those kind of milky pink tones. Now, this photo does have something that I noticed in quite a few packs of the film, and that if you look in the center, it's more neutrally colored, and if you look on the edges, it's got more of a pink hue. And now this wall was pink, so that is expected a little bit, but this as a theme was pretty common throughout multiple images. Now this next photo was one that I really wanted to focus on the green hues. Green is a notoriously hard color to capture correctly, especially within film, and instant film at that. And so this was outside of a good friend's house who we were all staying with. She had these beautiful plants, wanted to take a photo of it. Flash was on. Clouds though were overcast, and if you look in the top right of the photo you can see those milky skies once again. But image is pretty sharp. I was pleased with how this came out. Now these next two images are portraits within that portrait range of about 2 to 3 feet away from your subject. I wanted to share them just because I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this as a type of photography being used with this camera. Images are plenty sharp. Colors are pretty good. This first image here didn't have a lot of color in it anyway. There was a lot of neutral tones, except for that background. But if you look closely, you can see what I was talking about earlier, which is that kind of almost pinky vignette around the frame. And then this last photo, another portrait. This one has quite a bit more color in it, as you can see. I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with how soft the flash is. You would think that with such a direct and pointed at the subject flash, you would get really blown out images, but it doesn't. It does a pretty good job of keeping everything evenly lit and neutral in terms of tonality. So those are the images that I wanted to share today. Please let me know what you think. Not so much of subject matter itself, I'm not looking for critique here, but really let me know what you think of the camera, let me know what you think of the results. Please be sure to follow me on social media, I'll include links in the description below, and leave your thoughts and be sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching.